Hello, Tashidelek, Akar-san, everybody. All right, so welcome to Wednesdays with Rinpoche. And so today we are here. Actually, in India, actually, today is first day of the lunar month, fourth lunar month, Sagadawa. So I think many of you already know what is Sagadawa. It is actually a Tibetan name for the fourth lunar month. And in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, Sagadawa consider this fourth lunar month considered to be very important month because on the full moon of the fourth lunar month, we consider that it is the kind of like three holy event that happens in our historical Buddha Shakyamuni's life. It was like we consider and we actually celebrate on the full moon, fourth lunar month of the full moon. And today is actually not full moon, today is actually the first day of the Sagadawa. And then I think after 15 days, it will be full moon. And on that full moon, we actually celebrate the birthday of the Buddha Shakyamuni. And his enlightened day also, like when Buddha was enlightened, was also on the fourth month, full moon, and that is fourth month. And then also a parinirvana, which means passing away anniversary. So, so today actually is the beginning of this Sagadawa month, and within the Tibetan community, many people who actually believe in Buddhism, they actually kind of do more spiritual practice than usual. So kind of like even people who are not vegetarian, they will start being vegetarian. And if they are not regularly doing like a prostration or meditation or circumambulations or kind of like offering the lamps and flowers, you know, they actually do more during this month. So kind of like so it's kind of like actually better than nothing, right? And sometimes this Sagadawa month is also kind of like a people, Tibetan people say it is like a Bumjur, means kind of like any good karma or good positive action that you actually perform during this month, it will multiply into 100,000 times. So it's just a belief, but so I think so because of that, people starting to do a lot of positive karmic spiritual deeds. Anyway, so today on this Wednesday, actually I posted something on my Facebook. So actually it is kind of like last time we went through the first noble truth. That is the first noble truth. And then, you know, like the three statements, the three profound message that Buddha has given during the fourth noble truth on the first noble truth, which is Dunghe Shevarcha, like Dunghe Dine Pabbe Dembao, sort of like so he pointed out that this is the truth of suffering, and suffering should be understood, and then suffering should be understood, and it is not there to understand, sort of like so I explained that last Wednesday. And then going to the next truth, which is the second noble truth. Generally in Tibetan we call Kunjung Gidemba. Kunjung Gidemba, sort of like a Kunjung is a Tibetan word, so which means kind of like Kun means kind of like all, Junga means origin, sort of like or cause, sort of like so it is what it is. The second one is the truth of the cause of suffering. So somehow all the suffering that we actually encounter or we experience, somehow this suffering, like whatever suffering that we have or we are experiencing, it comes not without any cause. So somehow it has a cause, right? So what is the cause? Where did it come from? So that to explain that, Buddha actually kind of like talked on second noble truth. So when he actually taught the second noble truth, that is also a very simple statement that Buddha actually said. Like I translated that here, which means Dinni Kunjung Pape Demba Wo, sort of like first he actually explained what is the cause of the truth, or what is the cause of the suffering. And so simply how he explained that is Dinni Kunjung Pape Demba Wo. This is the truth of the cause of suffering. So this is the truth of the cause of the suffering. So again, so here kind of like when Buddha was actually explaining this is the truth of the cause of suffering, sort of like the second, this is the cause, sort of like if I put it simply, so this is the cause. So again, like where Buddha was actually referring, like when he said this is, right, Dinni. So again, sort of like he is actually referring something that it is already here, right? This is the cause. So many times, like when we actually understand the cause of the suffering, like we tend to actually go back into the past, right? So like all the kind of like where is his referring, where this, like when he said this is Dinni, sort of like he is actually referring to that we already have those cause. So those cause is like from the Buddhist point of view, that there are two main cause of the suffering. So the two main cause is like we call nyumung, means affliction, like affliction, and karma. So le nyumung, sort of like so this le nyumung, the affliction and the karma. So somehow we already have an affliction, right? Affliction exists in us. So somehow referring that our affliction, sort of like our afflicted mind, our afflicted emotion, and so somehow this is the cause, and means it will kind of like it will cause. So like somehow whatever suffering that we are experiencing, somehow yes, it has a cause. So that is actually reference, like a past action, past karma is a cause, but like where we are actually like when we actually recognize Dini, sort of like, so we have to actually look at the present, sort of, right now, do I have the cause? Or somehow it's like, am I causing? So that is why, like, it is not to look too much into the past, right? It is like, so if we have to look into the past, then Buddha should say, Teni, right? Teni means that. That is the cause of suffering. Like he should say something like that. But he didn't say Teni, that. He didn't say that is. He said this is. This is the truth of the cause of suffering. So then, like, like that is also very something we should actually look at, understand when Buddha made this statement saying this is the truth of the cause of suffering. So Dini Kunjung Phakwe Dembaho. So this is the truth. So the truth. So somehow, we tend to, like, when we actually look at the cause of suffering, many times we tend to look at something that is like happened, right? Something that has happened before, and then we also kind of like trying to sort of like change whatever happened in the past, right? Whatever happened in the past, we cannot change. Whatever happened is happened, right? We cannot actually go back in time, and even though we know that, okay, so right now whatever I'm experiencing, so whatever problem that I have, whatever pain I have, whatever suffering that I'm experiencing, so if I know that, okay, it has a cause, and then what is that cause? And once you know that cause, what are you going to do with it, right? What are you going to do with it? Because whatever karma, like the karma that done, action that you performed in your previous life or in the past, so even though, like, okay, so what are we going to do with it? So other than sort of like, okay, I shouldn't have done that, other than sort of like searching for who to blame, and then we will actually go back into sort of like so why did I do that? What happened there? And I shouldn't have done that. And then slowly what happened is it will happen some sort of like a blame game, and then it will actually not lead into something good. What happened is it will starting to blame yourself. You will kind of like you will say that, oh, how stupid I am, I shouldn't have done that, and then it will starting to take some sort of like a guilt trip, right? So like knowing the truth of the cause of suffering, right? The truth of the cause of suffering. Once you know that the cause of the truth of the suffering, it's kind of like we actually, I think that we should not go too much into the past. So the past karma, okay, so it is something that, okay, so that is it. So then what we need to do is, okay, so whatever happened is happened. So now what? Because like if that happened like that so that is an example, right? That is an example, something that we need to learn lessons from the past. So that is it. And other than that, there is no fixing, right? We cannot go back. We cannot go back and fix our action. We cannot go back and sort of like fix that negative karma, negative action or affliction mind that we used to have, and all these things. So that is why I think this is an important kind of like a statement that when Buddha said, this is the truth of the cause of suffering. So the truth of the cause of suffering, something that we have to look right now, that learning from the past that we learn that do I have those cause? Do I have those cause? Like do I have, like at this, at this moment, do I have? So somehow, yes, even though we don't have that sort of like all the afflictions, but somehow we have sort of like all the potential, right? The potential to kind of to become sort of like a very effective, right? To become delusional, to kind of like ready to overact, or kind of like ready to overthink, right? So anyway, so this is the first statement. That is something we should actually learn, because I think that that is something that in the Western psychological treatment, like that happens a lot, right? People actually go into their looking for their actually how to fix their problem, like a psychological problem, and then they go into the therapy, and then like starting to dig into this. Okay, so what is the cause of this? And then you go back into cause, and then okay, so many times yes, it is kind of like psychological problems happen during when we were children, and then it actually lead into some sort of negative side effect of okay, so trying to fix the past action, right? Past mistake, and so sometime that actually leads into some sort of a blame kind of game, right? And then because our ordinary mind, something that when we find somebody to blame, then there's kind of there's a kind of satisfaction. Okay, so that is our egoistic mind is always looking for, okay, this is not my problem. It is like when I was when I don't know anything, when I was innocent, that happened means they did it. So then it is kind of when we find somebody to point our finger, and then it's kind of it gets some sort of a temporary satisfaction. But some temporary satisfaction will lead into more kind of damage, right? More damage into the psychological actually issues, because when you're starting to blame someone, and then it is just kind of it is like a hatred, right? You will blame and you will actually hate it, and of course there is a solution, the forgiveness should come, but it actually forgiveness comes very with the difficulties, right? So instead of forgiveness, trying to find how to forgive, then kind of we get into entangle into this blame game, and then sort of a guilt trip. And so if we actually go and spend all our energy into knowing the cause of the suffering is something in the past, and then if we actually go back into sort of trying to fix the problem by going back in time, then it is actually not going to work, right? Because nobody can fix whatever happened in the past. So that is why this is the sort of so whatever cause that is caused in so the affliction is in us, the karma is in us. So our day-to-day life, so our action, right? Our action, the action that we perform, how our physical body, right? If you actually perform using your, physically you are acting something, then that is an action that is like a physical action. And then there is action that we actually perform using our verbal, the verbal action, right? We say something, and then just kind of this kind of all the verbal action that in our day-to-day life. And then the most important thing is the mental action, right? The mental action, which is one of the main cause that happens, right? So that is why the second statement on the truth of the cause of suffering that Buddha actually said, Kunjung Pangwara Cha. That is the Tibetan word. So if it is translated, the cause of suffering should be stopped. So now see. So this one, you can find many different translations. Kunjung Pangwara Cha. Sort of because Kunjung means, okay, origin of suffering, right? Kunjung means origin of suffering, cause of suffering. So these three words, Pangwara Cha. So it is somehow, it is like a Cha means kind of, Pangwara Cha means he's kind of giving sort of like a advice or something you should like that. Or Pangwara means, so this actually the word Pang is there are many different translations for that, because sometimes, Pang also means abandon. Also, sometimes Pang also means eliminate, right? Sometimes Pang Wara Cha, Pang Wara also means sort of like avoid, sort of like and then, so there are many different, translation that you can use for the Pangwaracha, because I actually sort of like pick this word. It's a simple word, right? The cause of suffering should be stopped. So cause of suffering should be stopped. So that is a kind of like a stop, sort of like a meaning, whether physically, we are going to involve into some negative action, or verbally we are going to involve into some negative action. So once you know that your physical negative action will become the cause of negative experience, so by knowing that, you actually stop. Sort of like, even though you are going to do something, even though you wanted to do something that is negative, somehow you are just kind of, you are stopping it. So stop. Sort of, so then so that is a kind of like there is a little bit to understand the meaning, Pangwara Cha, sort of like and many kind of like in the Buddha's teachings, there is like, you might have seen that it is kind of like we should not resist, right? So there's a resist. So what is the difference between resisting and stopping, right? Resisting and stopping. Sort of like, so if you are going to performing an action that is a negative, physical negative action, and you know that it is going to be harmful, and you actually stop. It's kind of like it looks like you are resisting, right? You are resisting. So somehow, is that a resistance? So it is kind of like we need to kind of clearly understand what is the meaning, right? What is the meaning? Sort of like, so like if there is something that kind of like another kind of like, I put a one quote there, stop overthinking. You are only creating problems that aren't there. That aren't there, right? So that is kind of like a common sense, right? This is a common sense. So if your mind, like I say, your physical action, verbal action, mental action. So as I mentioned earlier, our mental action is very busy, right? Our mind is very busy. So our mind, in our day-to-day life, our mind is actually one action that we need to consider when it is stopping, right? We need to stop overthinking, because when you overthinking, then what is meant by overthinking, and how can we stop overthinking? That's a very big question, right? Which is very big question. So it is kind of like, then you are actually thinking that, okay, so if I how can I stop overthinking? That means when my mind is very busy thinking something, should I resist it? Sort of like, see. Now, think very carefully. When you resist something, when you stop something, or there's another word, prevent, right? Prevent or resist, preventing or stopping. Prevent doing something and resist doing something. Stopping, like stop doing something. Sort of like, what is the difference there? Like, think carefully. So somehow, when you actually stop, means I think kind of like resistance is more stronger, which kind of like when you resist something, then I think there is a oppose comes, right? Some sort of like opposing, like oppose means kind of like you are against, sort of like when you are against something, you are actually like you are against. So now, like sort of like when you are going to perform action, when you are actually like immediately, you actually sort of like mindfully notice that, right? So somehow you notice it, but when you notice that, okay, this is going to be harmful, it is going to be the cause of a harmful experience, and so like there is some sort of like like opposed. So like there is something that you are standing against, right? Something that you actually stop with the, you can actually sort of like, even though when you resist something, you're stopping, but you're stopping with such a strong opposition, right? Opposed, sort of like with some sort of like you have some sort of like fighting mode, like you're fighting. You're actually putting a lot of what you call, you're putting a lot of stress. You're putting a lot of kind of force. That is resistance, right? So because somehow behind that stopping, you actually you have a lot of like opposed, you have a lot of against, you are against something. So when you are against something and then you like not doing it, is you're not doing is kind of like you are actually holding back, right? You're holding back, and that is something like it is a resistance. So somehow resistance has a more sort of like a, what do you call, little what do you call, negative force behind that. It is something that you are against, right? Whenever you are against something, right? When you're against something, it is kind of like a, somehow you actually you become a little negative, isn't it, right? When you are against something, whether, I don't know, like just kind of the nature of opposed, or nature of standing against, like when you are against something, whether it is against, like for example killing, right? Like action of killing. So killing, like are you against the killing, right? You're standing against the killing. How do you react to that? And if you are not against you are not against the killing, that doesn't mean you are for killing, right? So it is like you are not for killing. You are not actually standing for killing action, but you are not doing it, right? It is not because you are against it, but you are not doing it. You are not doing it. You are not killing it. You are not actually performing the killing action. You are not allowing. You are not allowing yourself to actually go into that path of killing. Why? Because you respect the life of that animal or that being. And so there's a sort of like, even though it is like when you're standing against the killing and not doing it, and you are actually not for it, but you're not against it, but you're still not doing it, there's a difference, right? There's a difference. Sort of like, so it is somehow you stop, right? Like if you, like there's a two people, like two people actually stopped, like they are on the way to killing something and they stopped. So one stopped because of resistance, one stopped because of it is not because it is not against it, it is not for it, but simply you kind of like that this is not this is not good, and this will be disrespectful. Sort of like somehow it is like there is some kind of like a freedom, right? Freedom, sort of like so there's kind of refraining, right? That's another word, right? Refraining, and we many times we use that word, right? We use that word when we are kind of like refraining from doing bad things, right? Refraining from doing bad things, meaning sort of like it shows that behind that refraining, you have something that you want to do. You want to do, but you are not doing it because you are against it. So this kind of like there is something that refraining is actually it is like not free, right? And then there is another one that is you don't refrain, you simply just stop doing it, right? You just stop doing it because you know that this is not something that this is not something that is you're supposed to do. This is not something that like as I explained earlier, like killing, sort of like you are not killing. Why? Because it is not that, okay, Buddha said don't kill, not that. Somebody said not kill, not because of that. I'm not killing because it is against the law. You're not. You are not actually kind of like you are not engaging into the killing activity, and not because somebody said so. Somebody, because it is a law. So then it is kind of like a refrain, right? It's like somehow it's just like deep inside you wanted to, but you're not doing it. So there is another way of you are not killing it, not because somebody said so. It is not because of law. It is not reason that. It is just simply it is not right. It's not like it is just like I don't have a right to take other sentient beings' life, and somehow it is like based on respect. So it is kind of like you are free from killing, right? You are free from killing, so that is some sort of like a freedom, right? Freedom. So this is something that I think have to think, because Kunju Pangwara, this word Pangwara, because this will come in many different parts. Like for example, when we are actually when we are actually doing the spiritual practice, right? Sort of like especially like the kind of like vows, right? Monastic vows, bodhisattva vow, like then tantric vow, like so many times we think that the vow is to refrain from doing something, right? So when you are refraining from doing something, maybe there is a resistance because you're against it, or just kind of like so there's kind of like you are simply stopping. You stop, sort of like with the freedom. Sort of like there is a freedom. If something that is something that comes based on acceptance and based on freedom, then that is kind of like what it means by Kunju Pangwarcha. The cause of suffering should be stopped. Should be stopped. Sort of like so you are stopping. You are stopping. Sort of like overthinking, says like because when we do the overthinking, right, it will create a lot of problem, right? So how can we actually stop overthinking? That is a big question, right? As I had mentioned earlier, because everybody wants to know, and that is not so easy. Stop, because it's easy to say, but it's difficult to do. So, that is again, we should know, like, okay, overthinking, like, if you resist it, then maybe you're not actually kind of like you are against overthinking. So there is something that you can stop overthinking without standing against the overthinking. So is that possible? Do you think you can do that? And I think you can do that. I think there is a way. There is a way. There is a way to stop overthinking without standing against, without opposing the overthinking. So just kind of like, if you think, okay, I'm not going to overthink because overthinking is so bad, overthinking is this, overthinking is the cause of all suffering, sort of like overthinking is just negative, and if you have so much kind of like things against, if you have so much things against overthinking, and then when you are going to stop that overthinking, then it will only become resistant. You're refraining from overthinking. So refraining from overthinking and stopping overthinking is two different, I think it's a different thing. So just kind of like, this is something kind of like whenever there is some kind of like overthinking comes, and then just kind of like, if you are overly thinking, like if you have a very busy mind, then just be open, right? Be open with these thoughts, and just kind of like just have fun with it, right? Just be aware of all the whatever you're thinking, and then instead of sort of like, oh, I just want to stop it, I don't want it, like some sort of like a resistance, sort of like without resisting, without standing against it, and just kind of like, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and be aware of it, and so without reacting over your thinking. So if your mind is overthinking, so just for time being, let it overthink, right? Let it overthink, and let it think, and then just kind of like you are just there witnessing it. You just witness, okay, so you just kind of like, okay, you can actually kind of give some freedom to your mind. Okay, so you can say, okay, my mind. So like for example, when you look at your mind, sort of like we have to look at okay, I have my body is there to serve me, and I have my speech, and my speech is there to serve me, and I have my mind, and my mind is also to serve me. So somehow it is kind of like your attitude toward your mind is that it is like, I don't belong to my mind. My mind belongs to me. My mind is part of me. My body is part of me. My speech is part of me. So first of all, you have to actually look at changing the perspective. You have to look at it differently. How you look at your body, how you look at your mind, how you look at your speech, like body, speech, and mind. Sort of like, so my mind, this is my mind. So my mind is actually part of me. It is actually, if I put in a simple language, it is like I am the owner, right? I own my body, I own my speech, I own my mind. So somehow it is like, if you let your mind own you, then you cannot actually kind of like, you cannot actually deal with your mind, because your mind will become the master. So you are the master. Your mind is not your master. Your mind is there. Your mind is there to serve you. So somehow it is okay. So like you look at your mind and okay, you are my mind part, you are part of me, and you are thinking, okay, so today I give you freedom, think whatever you want to think. So let them think, and so just it kind of like you pay very careful attention to whatever you are thinking to your mind, and you will actually notice many of your mind actually telling you is it doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense. It just kind of like it will say many things that it doesn't make sense. So slowly, like you are the master, and your mind is your mind is there to serve you, and then you actually tell your mind, okay, you are here, you are here to serve me. So I will tell you what to do, right? I will tell you what to do, sort of like that. So that is how how to actually look at your mind. So then this what Buddha said about the cause of suffering should be stopped. This message will actually you will understand. And then third statement on the second noble truth: the cause of suffering should be stopped. And so that is it is not there to stop. So that is actually bringing it to a more deeper actually level, sort of like so kunju pangwar cha, right? Kunju pangwar cha de pangwar charme, sort of like it is not stop. Like simply kind of say it is not there to stop means it is not there as we think, like solidly. It doesn't exist there inherently. So somehow even the afflictions and the like all the causes that I have, so somehow these causes also does not exist as I think it is, right? They are not inherently exist. They are actually interdependently exist somehow. So this is kind of like we imagine them something like very big, right? So that is another meaning. So that kind of like going into the more understanding the truth, right? Understanding the emptiness nature. So there's kind of like somehow when you actually look at this, the cause of suffering, which which I'm stopping, it is not there to stop. It is not there to stop means sort of like it is even when I'm stopping it, it is sort of like it is you are actually understanding what it is, what is the nature of my affliction, what is the nature of my mind, what is the nature of my physical action, what is the nature of my verbal action, sort of like so. Once you know what it is, then actually it is different. It is different. It is like it kind of going into more deeper dimension of understanding. All right. So anyway, so that is just kind of like a simple truth for out of Four Noble Truths. The second noble truth, the cause of suffering. So kind of like I put it in a very simple English language there, translated. And so if you want to think of, contemplate on that, when Buddha said something, each and every word has some very deep meaning. So kind of like if you want to contemplate, if you want to meditate on it, and these are like not very academic word, you just kind of, it's a simple word, right? If you understand Tibetan, then it is like dini kunju phawe tembao, kunju pangwar cha, very simple, right? Kunju pangwar cha de pangwar charme, sort of like. So this is the truth of the cause of suffering. The truth of the cause of suffering should be stopped. Truth of suffering, should be stopped. And it is not there to stop, sort of like it. So think of this kind of three statements very carefully and contemplate it, and then you will actually understand, sort of like there is a more deeper meanings of that. Okay. Anyway, today this much, and then I see many of you are here, and so everybody, hope you are actually good. And here in India, it actually it is overwhelmingly kind of like spreading these new variants of COVID-19, but I don't know, because there are so many things kind of like information in the media, you know, people are saying many things, so seems like people really don't know, but somehow kind of like many things kind of like happening. But fortunately in our society there are few people you know, kind of got positive, but fortunately they are not too serious. And I think some old people also you know, like have a positive COVID-19, but somehow, you know, the people who had a vaccination, the infection is less. So that is a good news, right? So, but anyway, we still don't know what kind of variant. So everybody around me here, we are all staying safe. And I'm praying that people who are actually struggling, you know, I hope that they will all free from their struggle. And in general, like all this sickness, and it has been very long, over like 1.5 years now almost. And so we should all pray and send our prayers to that this pandemic will stop soon. All right. Okay, so then here some of the, you know, your like names are showing here, and I see Jitka Marigold. You say thank you, Rinpoche, you're welcome, and Tashi Delek, and then Tashi Punzo, Tashi Delek, and Mary Milam. Is the cause of suffering not understanding emptiness? There are many causes of suffering. Yeah, I think understanding the emptiness, which is the truth of what reality, I think it will help to not cause many suffering, I think. So understanding, you know, emptiness from the Buddhist point of view, it's actually, it is the most profound understanding, because you know, when you understand the truth, the emptiness, then it is actually it is sort of like it will like it is the antidote, right? It is the antidote for the ignorance, and the ignorance is the root of all the sufferings, and all the, you know, ignorance is the root of the samsara. So I think from that point of view, yes, I think, yeah. And then Lunshan Su, Tashidelek Lunshan. And then I see Tenzin Norgela, Tashidelek. Helen Person, Tashidelek. John Gossett, good morning from Phoenix, Tashidelek, John. And Sylvia, Tashidelek. And Lobsan Targiela, Tashidelek. And then Helen Person, saying, you are the master. Your mind is there to serve you. Rinpoche's way to explain makes me in good mood. I will print the words in my mind. Thank you very much. Okay, Helen. So if that helps you, then that is good. And then Kayla, Tashidele Kayla, and good morning from Kayla and David in Santa Fe. David and Kayla, Tashidele, blessings. Thank you. Hope you and your families and community are okay. The COVID in India and Nepal is frightening. Please stay well. Our prayers are with you all. Thank you very much. And then Regula, stay with Tashidelek Rinpoche from Regula and Ernie. Tashidelek, both of you. We are very happy and grateful you teach on the Four Noble Truths. Thank you. You're welcome. And Melissa Smith, Tashidelek, prayers for those suffering from this pandemic. Thank you. Cindy Clark, much thanks. You're welcome. And Tashidelek. Andrew Kappas Mazio, thank you, Rinpoche. Tashidelek, Andrew. and you're welcome. And then I sininju Kumaran, Pranam, Tashidelek, prostration to Guru Deva, much measurable, immeasurable gratitude for these powerful updates, Master. Your blessing will help us stop 90% stories and take us to the peace, freedom that exists beyond restraint. Master, immeasurable gratitude also for your prayers to Matara, Master. The true obscuration, physical and mental, body, speech, and mind. Master, is speech use old combined physical and mental? What are the two accumulations? So I think two accumulation mentioned is not physical or mental. I think it is like in Tibetan we say "tsok-ni." "Tsok-ni" means accumulation. So accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. So that is kind of like two different things. Like two accumulation is like tsok. That is in English we call it accumulations of merit. So merit means sort of like the method side of all the good like actions, like all the actions that put together, that your physical action, verbal action, mental action, like all the virtuous actions, so that is the accumulation of merits. And then accumulation of wisdom, which means your mind become deeper and deeper, sort of like your realization of the truth become more and more deeper, and that is the accumulation of the wisdom, sort of like that. In Tibetan we call it Yishikitso, all right? And then Manika Tashidelek, Manika, dear Rinpoche, someone in my family whom I cherish, love, and have compassion, excellent, loving, and uncaring in return. I realize they are my teacher, but after 10 years, seizing my suffering seems to mean to ignore them. Can you speak on that? So that is kind of like like something that when we are dealing with our family, so somehow it is kind of like there are a lot of history that we all have, right? We all sort of like so it generally just kind of like there are many different ways, and it is it's not just easy to say that okay, they are just kind of like I should cherish them, and they are sort of like my teacher and stuff like that. So there are kind of like many different lojong practice, right? Lojong practice. So as I mentioned, it is not easy. It is something that if you are like living with someone who actually if you put a lot of effort in the past, and so then there are so many different stories, like emotional stories, and that involve with the person, then it is a little bit difficult. But one thing is kind of like we should, right, under that circumstances, sort of like stay strong, sort of like staying strong, and then just kind of like there are like we should understand that it is kind of like this kind of like a blaming thing will come very easily. So it's kind of like we will kind of like we would like to blame that, right? But it is kind of like without blaming, sort of like, and whatever they are going through, maybe they have a problem in their own life. So kind of like one thing is just kind of simply practice how to practice compassion, right? How to practice compassion to them, and so just kind of like pray that they will open their wisdom eyes, and so pray for their happiness. So somehow maybe that is I think so. Ignore, I mean not to turn their call because when they call. So I think there is actually, as Manika, this is there is no simple answer. But just kind of like one thing that what we can do is just kind of like whatever they give you, so it is our choice whether we take it or not. So just kind of like being sort of like practice compassion without any expectation. Sort of maybe that is a good way to practice. All right. And then I see Tanya Thomas, Tashidelek Tanya, and so I think so that is so far I see. Anyway, everybody. So today this much, and then next week Wednesday we will go with the third noble truth, and then after that I think it's a full moon Wednesday. Saradawa full moon, which is kind of like our fourth noble truth. Anyway, thank you all, and stay safe and stay strong, and please pray for everybody who's suffering with this pandemic. Okay, thank you.